I stand before you with a declaration, not a prediction. I'm going to win. Not because the path is easy, not because the odds bend in my favor, but because I refuse to surrender the pen that writes my story. Every moment from this point forward matters. Every choice, every setback, every breath. Winning isn't something that happens someday, it's something we decide today. And today, I choose urgency. I choose courage. I choose to rise before the world is ready for me. I'm not here to hope. I'm here to claim. I'm going to win, and I'm starting now. Purpose gives the battle its weight because men don't rise for rewards. They rise for reasons that make them feel necessary. When a man believes the struggle in front of him defines who he becomes for the people he protects, guides, or loves, the fight gains meaning far beyond the scoreboard. Men are wired to seek direction, to anchor themselves to missions that justify the sacrifices they make. From a woman's perspective, this battle matters because it reveals the depth of a man's commitment, his capacity to push through doubt, and his willingness to carry responsibility when it's heavy, not just when it's convenient. Identity is shaped in the moments when no one is watching, because that is where a man decides what kind of strength he wants to embody. Women often see this long before men do. They watch how a man handles pressure, how he navigates silence, and how he responds when his confidence is shaken. To them, the outcome is secondary. It is the character formed in the struggle that determines whether he is reliable, resilient, and worthy of trust. And for men, that realization becomes the spark that transforms a challenge into a calling. Courage begins the moment a man steps forward, despite the knot in his stomach and the doubt in his mind, because readiness is rarely a feeling and almost always a decision. Men often wait for certainty, believing that confidence must come first. Yet the truth is that confidence is earned only after the first difficult step is taken. From a woman's perspective, that first move carries immense significance. It shows initiative, drive, and the willingness to act in the face of fear. Women often observe how a man behaves at the edge of uncertainty, because that is where his true leadership and resilience reveal themselves. Growth accelerates when a man chooses action over hesitation, because the world doesn't reward those who prepare endlessly, but those who dare to start. Many women understand that men are wired to internalize pressure and fear appearing unprepared, but they also recognize that strength is proven through progress, not perfection. They watch how a man navigates the messy beginning, how he adapts, how he learns, and how he keeps showing up. For men, starting before they feel ready becomes the catalyst that separates intention from transformation, turning the declaration, "I'm going to win," into a lived reality. Strength is forged when a man understands that motivation is temporary, because relying on emotion to carry him forward guarantees inconsistency. Men often wait for the rush, the spark, the perfect moment where everything aligns, but that moment rarely comes. From a woman's perspective, this is where a man's true character is visible. She pays attention to what he does when he's tired, uninspired, or overwhelmed, because those moments reveal whether he is driven by fleeting feelings or anchored by a deeper commitment. Women often admire men who show up regardless of their mood, because consistency communicates reliability, and reliability builds trust. Discipline becomes the defining force when a man chooses routines that outlast his impulses, because discipline transforms effort into identity. Many women see the power of this shift long before men do. They watch how he creates structure, how he honors his word, and how he rebuilds himself after a setback. To women, discipline signals maturity, direction, and emotional steadiness, qualities that make a man's intentions believable. For men, embracing discipline over motivation becomes the moment they stop chasing the feeling of winning and start becoming the kind of person who wins by default, regardless of circumstance. Resilience takes shape when a man realizes that setbacks are not signs of failure, but signals that he is moving into territory that demands more from him. Men often internalize defeat quickly, feeling that a setback challenges their competence or worth. Yet it is in these moments that their drive is refined. From a woman's perspective, how a man handles adversity reveals far more than how he handles success. She notices whether he retreats or recalibrates, whether he blames circumstances or takes ownership, because those choices show the depth of his emotional strength and stability. Women often see potential in a man not because he never stumbles, but because of how he stands back up. Growth accelerates when a man uses setbacks as information rather than judgment, because obstacles clarify what needs to be strengthened, improved, or reimagined. Many women understand that men carry pressure quietly, wrestling with the fear of disappointing others, yet they also recognize that hardship matures a man's confidence and sharpens his direction. They pay attention to how he adapts under pressure, how he learns from mistakes, and how he transforms frustration into fuel. For men, this shift in perspective becomes the turning point where the battle toughens their character instead of weakening their resolve, making the declaration, "I'm going to win," not an aspiration, but an inevitable progression. Character is shaped by the company a man keeps because the people closest to him reinforce either his potential or his excuses. Men often underestimate how deeply their environment influences their mindset, their habits, and their standards. When a man is surrounded by individuals who normalize mediocrity, he slowly lowers his expectations of himself. From a woman's perspective, the people he chooses to stand with reflect the direction he is choosing for his life. She pays attention to the voices he listens to, the influences he allows in, and the values of those he calls friends, because they reveal the kind of future he is preparing to create. Women understand that a man's circle is often a mirror of his internal world. Momentum is built when a man intentionally aligns himself with people who challenge him to grow, because accountability sharpens discipline in a way motivation never can. Many women see the strength of a man through the quality of his alliances, the mentors he respects, the friends who push him forward, and the companions who expect more from him than he expects from himself. They notice when his environment elevates him instead of enabling his weaknesses. To them, a man who chooses high-character people demonstrates maturity, vision, and emotional intelligence. For men, this realization becomes a powerful shift, the understanding that winning is not just an individual pursuit, but a collective energy. When a man stands with those who hold him to a higher standard, every battle feels more purposeful and every setback becomes easier to rise from because he is no longer fighting alone. Identity takes form when a man understands that winning isn't an achievement he waits for, but a standard he chooses to embody every single day. Men often place victory somewhere far in the future, tied to a specific goal, milestone, or moment of recognition. Yet the truth is that the mindset of a winner is built long before the reward arrives. From a woman's perspective, the way a man carries himself daily, his consistency, his presence, his sense of responsibility, tells her whether he's becoming someone who can handle success, not just chase it. Women notice the small, uncelebrated behaviors that shape his character, because those are the habits that reveal whether he is driven by intention rather than impulse. Strength becomes visible when a man aligns his actions with the identity he claims, because identity creates direction, and direction creates discipline. Men are often taught to perform in big moments, but it's the quiet, repetitive choices that define whether he is truly committed to the life he says he wants. Women observe how he follows through when no one is applauding, how he treats others when he has nothing to gain, and how he upholds his values under pressure. These daily actions communicate far more than ambition. They reveal whether he possesses the internal foundation required for long-term success. To women, a man who honors his word and nurtures his growth consistently proves he isn't waiting to win. He is already becoming the type of man who does. Transformation begins when a man stops tying his identity to outcomes and instead ties it to who he chooses to be every day, because that shift turns winning from a hope into a habit. Men often struggle with the fear of falling short, but building a daily identity anchored in discipline, purpose, and resilience removes the pressure of perfection. Women understand that progress built on steady, intentional action is far more reliable than flashes of motivation or sporadic effort. They recognize when a man is living with clarity, direction, and self-respect, qualities that shape not only how he performs, but how he leads, loves, and navigates adversity. For men, embracing winning as a daily identity becomes the moment they stop waiting for permission and start moving with certainty, embodying the mindset that makes the declaration, I'm going to win a lived truth rather than a distant dream.